David?
David Moore, Dallas Morning News. What was your message to the players today, and just in general, what's the mood been here?
The move was I'd say it was consistent. They came in, they got their workouts in. Had some conditioning to do. Being on an 8-day week here, so. Then we had the team meeting, so I felt that we were able to cover some things in there that need to be covered, and they've had a chance to visit with their position coaches. I talked a little bit about yesterday not being a burn the tape type outlook here, but we've had a chance to go through it, and frankly I think it's time to burn the tape and move on to Tampa. So.
Until four-star telegram. Moving on to Tampa, what gives you confidence that you can move on and get a different outcome?
Well, I have confidence in our football team, regardless of who we lined up against in the playoffs, that will be successful. And we have built that over the course of the off-season, training camp, and in camp. You're as good as all your parts. I'm more focused on who are the 48 going to be for this game? Because we're getting healthy. Hopefully, get a couple more guys back. So that's really where my mind is. If you look at the defense, we've had a chance to play some players that didn't have opportunities, at all, frankly, or even since earlier in the year. So they got some opportunities. So I feel like we have really good information there. Offensively, same deal. We got some things that we were able to go through and make sure that we got the right direction going for Tampa Bay, and just like anything, who's going to be on the 48 that directly affects the special teams. So I feel like what we're capable of doing is very high, and a lot of belief and confidence, and we'll get ready to go, and I'm just really focused on a good week of preparation.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. You weren't sure if it was going to be a 6-day week or a 7-day week. Now you've got an 8-day week. How does that change your approach and schedule-wise? What does that mean for this week?
It really doesn't change much of the approach. We had the Monday night game in New York, so all these schedules were all done beforehand. So we'll be very similar to what we did going into the Giants, because it's obviously a Monday night type game, and it's on the road. So scheduling wise, so it'll be more of a winter schedule. We'll have a bonus Wednesday on the front end, and then Thursday will be Wednesday, Friday will be that kind of process.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. 2015, you guys lost your last 2 games up there in Green Bay. Are there experiences do you draw on that experience as you're getting your team ready for this game, coming off this loss?
Yeah, no, there's been a couple of them over the years. You lose games at the end and play well in the playoffs. 2010, we limped into the playoffs and end up at AT&T Stadium playing for it all. So I'm going to say that I think there's one other one. 12, yeah, where you don't play as well as you like at the end, and so I've been on both sides of that.
And you mentioned the guys you played on defense were you able to get any answers out of the guys you were able to? Yeah,
definitely. There are answers that will go into game planning, and which is started already, and those answers will be we'll put players to line up and compete against each other, because that the defensive personnel will be the primary focus on those individuals. How we feel like we match up against Tampa, and then ultimately the tiebreakers will be made by special teams. That's a process we've always followed, and and this is no different.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Is it concerning that here we are in the playoffs and you're still trying to find some pieces at corner?
Well, I wouldn't say concerning. I think it's just I think this is what you go through when you have injuries. I think the injury to Anthony Brown is Anthony's been a super consistent player for us since I've been here. So I think last year and what he's done this year, he played at an extremely consistent level. So I think it's just a matter of also Deron Bland's part of that equation too. So this game always comes down to matchups. I think it'll be even highlighted more in the playoffs, and I think that'll be part of our thinking going into Tampa.
What's your confidence level for Van Der Esch and Hankins for this week?
Feel good about it. They're both very positive today, so we'll see where they are on Wednesday. But everything's pointing up.
Howard too? Yeah.
Excuse me?
Center too?
He had a good workout today too, so everything's pointing up. Yeah.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. Could you update us on Deron Bland, who wasn't able to finish the game?
Yeah, I see him being available for Wednesday, if not for sure Thursday's practice.
And follow up, you got an extensive look at Mullen and Coyle, so
Yeah.
if you could address both of those.
I mean, it's really part of the question earlier. I think it's definitely given us the information to see how they fit into the defensive packages, how we feel like we'll move forward there, and obviously their their performance on special teams too will play into that.
And one more question, follow up on Coyle. What is it that you had seen earlier in the season in practice that you thought might work for the matchup in the
Yeah,
slot?
I mean, he's just one of he's one of those young guys that we don't talk much about, but that we've been excited about for quite some time. He has corner traits and his ability to play safety, even nickel, and then obviously on special teams. So I just think he's an excellent young ascending player.
Jory, we'll go to you.
Tori Epstein, Yahoo Sports. Mike, whether or not Tyler's back this week, how do you feel about the offensive line generally, and even getting Tyron in late in the season? What can you do to continue to work on those blocks?
Just got to really work on the continuity. That's why the decision on Tyler is imperative. So hopefully, as I've already stated, things are looking up, and I haven't completed my work with the medical, because I mean they just like I do every Monday. You have guys that they got to look at, and then there's extra testing that goes on. They've been in the weight room, they've been in the meetings. So, once they get the final notes, but everything we're very optimistic for all these guys.
And you talked so much throughout the year about consistency. I know you burned the tape from yesterday, but when you have a performance like yesterday's, is there any sort of formula from that consistency that didn't work yesterday that you could point to of where you want to improve?
Formula of consistency, I don't follow you.
I mean, when you try and be consistent, and it seems like yesterday wasn't consistent with the rest of the season, is there anything in particular that felt like?
Oh, I think it's the National Football League, and I'm not trying to just throw shade to it. We always talk on how difficult it is to win a game, and I thought you got to give them credit. Just the way they matched our pattern reads and pass concept, the aggressiveness that they played with in coverage, and so hindsight's always 20/20. But we need to be better in spots, and I think like anything, when you get a chance to you get punched in the mouth quite often in this league, and it's just like anything, it's how you respond.
Piggyback just a little bit on the line thing for a second. Zeke said that the line stunts have been a problem, or the problem yesterday has been a problem all season to a certain extent. How do you fix that? Or
Well, I mean, line movement is something that you regularly see, and I think the bigger challenge in today's NFL and what we're experiencing is the multiplicity in fronts that you see in first and second down. I mean, it's astronomically higher the last couple of years than it was, prior to that. So, then within that, the 5-man schemes, the 4-man schemes, the 6-man looks, and so it's just more the recognition of that and the movement that comes with it. So, yeah, we didn't. There were definitely some spots where the movement we didn't handle it great, but that's something. I mean, that's really football. I mean, that's what it comes down to, the fundamentals and the basics, and so we're definitely focused on those things.
the Tom Brady mystique, he's undefeated against the Cowboys, is that something that's real, or how do you talk to your team about that?
I mean, I think, clearly what we'll pay the most attention to is we've had an opportunity to compete twice against Tom Brady in Tampa, and that's really as far as it will go with us. I mean, that's all we can focus on. We have zero responsibility or even time that will not be wasted on what's happened, prior to those two games. I mean, that none of that responsibility falls to us.
Scott.
Dixon with the AP. Todd asked you earlier about some of the late season experience in Green Bay. You said yesterday it's a reset anyway.
Yeah.
Last year the momentum didn't really help going into that game. What's your big picture view of that sort of question of momentum at this point?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Frankly, my team meeting for today was pretty much done. Before I got on the plane to go to Washington D.C., and that's not normal. But there's always a turn the page, reboot, whatever term you're looking to use when the regular season ends and then the playoffs start. So, I mean, you want as much consistency and in conformity to how you always operate. But we all understand what these games mean. We're guaranteed four quarters. That's all we're guaranteed. Where prior to that, we were guaranteed 17 games. So really, my adjustment was, last night based off what happened in the game and then some of the things that I felt needed to be addressed today from the game. But, there's, once I got through the correction of the game, we're on to the playoffs.
Osa Digizua and Chauncey Golston came in together. They both had some standout moments yesterday, including a TFL for both in the fourth quarter. What have you seen from them of late? And with getting Hankins back, how important is their progression to this defense?
Well, first off, agreed. I thought they both played very well. And I think clearly, not only the ability to play inside, with the squareness and gap integrity, I think they also were their ability to explode off blocks and is getting much better in their in making plays. So I think that's a great look as we go into this week on how we're going to play. So yeah, I was very pleased with both those guys.
You're obviously not dismissing your performance yesterday offensively, but when something like that, where there don't seem to be many indicators that you're moving in that direction, and then it just hits kind of out of nowhere, is it a little easier to work past, and does it do less to impact confidence than if you saw some things where it was moving in that direction?
Yeah, I think like anything in this game, it's the accumulation of the little things on both sides of the fence. It's the accumulation of sometimes you may not get the result that you want, but if you're doing it right and the details are in order, the good days are a lot closer than further away. And I think like with the negatives, when you're not adjusting and tweaking, for instance, if you look at the first half, the first 5 3 and outs, we're 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6 twice, 3rd and 5 twice, and I mean those are all reasonable third down situations to be in, and I think our numbers on third down going into the game speak for themselves. So you can see where the confidence is. So how do you evaluate that? Well, you look at the first and second down run. You're only averaging a little over 2 yards a carry. I don't know if you're a yard better. So now it's 3rd and 4. And the 3rd and 4 is a lot different than 3rd and 7. So that's really the fine line between that. Then take it into the third down situational conversation and just being specific on what we did and how we attacked it and the results. So that's why I think it's important, whether it's week 1, and week 7 or even 17, just if you're on top of your game and the specifics of the details, you got to push the envelope one way or the other. So the nice thing is we've had a chance to reboot today and get ready and start playing it for Tampa and have great confidence. We'll be ready to go and going in there to win the game.
For Tyron at right tackle, how different is run blocking relative to, I get the signing right there, relative to the left side? Like how different is that for a guy who's been accustomed to on one side to the other in that transition? I
mean, I don't want to be crude here, but the best description I ever heard was from Josh Sitton, and he could be crude, is when we moved him to the left guard. He said it's like wiping your ass with your right hand and then you got to switch to your left. It's a pain in the ass. So it takes time. All right, that's my humor for today. Thank you.
Volunteer.